no, we got bubbles again. What the hell is going on with this crap, man? I don't know. I think it might be somebody reacting in the chat room, maybe, or something. I don't know.
We haven't said anything good yet.
It's so.
We never say anything good, but
I think you got that turned around backwards, because.
What do you mean?
Okay, there we go. We're good now.
Better here?
Yeah.
Or here?
Better there. All right. We'll get this stuff down eventually. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the Nostalgically Hip podcast. Another Wednesday night. That's going to drive me insane, I'm telling you right now. The little things that are popping
the bubbles
up.
again? Yeah, dude. I was kind of flipping through it last week, and I was like, wow. I thought you said it might have been the keyboard.
I thought maybe I did hit something, but I can't figure out what's going on with it. But anyway. Go Plots. Plots. Yeah, the dog, the official mascot of the show, Alma. She just wants some attention.
Oh, a lot tonight.
Yeah, I don't. Man, that's gonna make me go freaking crazy.
Yeah, because I think we had fireworks. We had thumbs up last week. It was all on, dude.
Well, you know, I've done another podcast since.
Mm-hmm. And nothing?
Nothing.
Now, normally what we would do is when I was at my place, you would just by default blame me and say, it's got to be on your end. So if I was at my place right now, you could go, this has got to be on your end.
Totally.
But you can't.
Totally. Let me click that. Maybe that'll do. Nope, that wasn't it. I don't know. I just don't know. I just have no clue whatsoever.
What is on my hand?
So anyway, the caucus, Iowa Caucus, was this week.
Yeah, you texted me. That was, when was that? Monday?
Tuesday, I believe.
Okay, and you texted me and you said, did you see the results? And I didn't know what to think, 'cause I didn't even know what was going on. I haven't been paying much attention, but it looks like another, so Trump didn't even, he's, other than flying over Iowa, he hasn't even showed up. I mean, now correct me if I'm wrong, but DeSantis invested quite a bit into that, right?
I wouldn't doubt it. DeSantis is pretty much done. I mean, Nikki Haley was smoking him, and shit, Trump, of course, 52%, I think. So that's crazy. You don't even campaign, and you're smoking people.
Yeah, and I heard it was like the least amount he'd spent or something. He only spent like $45 million in commercials or something up there, and he still pulled away with a slam and victory, right? I mean, they were announcing it before it was even over, right?
Right. CNN was.
Yeah, dude, that's insane. But I think people are just, I don't know, dude. It's like DeSantis is just a fool, and I don't even consider not DeSantis, Haley. I don't even consider her on the right. I mean, when you get CNN backing you this much, and you get tons of donors from, Biden's people that donated to Biden last term, or last election, they're backing her, and that says everything you need to know. She's not on the right. She is actually their candidate. People talk about, well, is Biden going to get a replacement? That's her. She's Biden's replacement.
She's she's a rhino's rhino.
Yeah. It's
disgusting.
Yeah, I don't get what people see in her.
I mean, she's not even that good looking. No.
No, she's not.
She's like,
Trump calls her bird brain, right? She looks kind of like a bird. Like, I think it's funny because maybe that's where he gets it from. But she does have a bird resemblance. Very birdy.
She's a 12-pack.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure. Oh man, there was a time I thought she was attractive, right? She's very fuckable. She had that, she was younger, of course, but now, I mean, if I like, just the whole fact that she just, she's been caught twice too, which just is amazing. She was asked about the race thing. Well, not a race thing, but essentially race thing. When what started the Civil War, and she wouldn't answer. Then she was just asked if. Can a man be a woman? And she Well, when we ask that question, she does everything but answer the question. She just kind of, do what they do. Everybody but DeSantis, he's the only one that comes out. Hell no, no. But she won't answer the questions, and she's a candidate for the left, is what she is.
That's because she is Hawaiian footwear.
She is? What do you mean? Is she Hawaiian?
Flip flop, motherfucker.
Oh yeah, dude. She is a complete. She's done that since she was in Trump's administration. Remember, she wanted to run with him, and she quit. She was flipping on his stances, and she just says whatever she thinks that the left wants to hear and wants to play it safe. And I don't know why the hell we'd want that again. At least Biden's up front. He's just anything that's anti-conservative. It's pretty much the way he rolls.
Yeah, I like how he's out. Oh my God. The way they're attacking Trump and the way he's calling him a dictator, this, that, the other, that's just free publicity for Trump, man. But so proceed, please.
Yeah, and it's, again, everything that they say Trump is going to do, that administration is doing.
Yep.
He's going to put he's going to use the government to put his political opponents in prison. That's what you're doing. That's what you're trying to do to him. And then they'll say, well, if we're doing it, it's okay. We're doing it because, we, our establishment, not you, obviously not the voters, we have determined that he's unfit to run. Well, so what's the difference if he gets in and goes, I've determined that everybody on the left's unfit to run? Which, by the way, he kind of jokes about anyway. He kind of said it tongue in cheek, and he wasn't even talking about being a dictator. He's just saying, I'm going to shut the border down. And I forget what else he said. But he was kind of, he's fun, but everybody takes it so serious when he says something. And of course, the media goes immediately to work, which, dude, the media is the government today. It's as simple as that.
Well, it's controlled by the government.
100%. It's like another wing of it, I'd heard something I don't know if it's true or not, but I mean, people could probably look it up. Google pays the Biden administration wages. That's what I've heard. That the CEO of them pays for their salaries. Now, I haven't looked it up to confirm it, but that's what I've heard, and I heard it from a good source. So,
speaking of, never mind, that was a different show. Let me just go right back and tune the voices down a little bit. I'm not necessarily really wanting Trump to run or be in office again, but at the end of the day, if it comes down to it and he's the nominee, well, so be it, I guess. But I did see today where Vivek Ramaswamy, he dropped out and now he endorsed Trump.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a potential VP candidate.
Yeah, maybe. I could see him going, I don't know. Who knows what Trump will do? Whatever it is, it's going to have some way to balance out the people that, he's not, they like to say he's stupid. He's anything but stupid. And, again, I'm on the same boat, man. Do we need another 4 years of Trump? Well, he did do some good things, but I'd like to not hear, I don't want to hear 4 years of impeachments and stuff like that again. I think we all kind of got wore out by that. But honestly, I think the people now look at when he doesn't show up for Iowa, they can say, well, they're racist and they don't like this and they don't like that and they like the old ways. But man, for real, I think people just want a wrecking ball in there right now because they've seen how far the left has gone with everything. I think they just think, well, this will be the guy that this is who we need right now. He's just not going to take their shit because he's not afraid of them, Right.
And I don't know about are you saying the racist specifically in Iowa because of the turnout?
A lot of the stuff I'd heard on MSNBC, I think it's a lady from that, Joey Bear, does that sound right? She's real race. She's always on black lady, always just, everything's race, everything.
Everything.
That doesn't work out for the left, it's race. It's everybody's racism. She was talking that basically Iowa's just racist and they want to see things go back to the old style. And whites inherit the land and
Meanwhile, in Iowa, where their snow was 17 feet high and it was below 30 degrees below the lowest recorded temperature known to man.
Yeah, and it's not a racist thing at all. And in my view, I mean, is it to some people? Maybe, but it's just shit. It's gone too far, and I think people are just willing to, hey, look, we've 81 million votes allegedly for Joe Biden. He can't even freaking stand up straight. So I think people are fighting fire with fire. Like, okay, watch what we do. Let's do this.
I'm not buying that 80 million votes, man.
No, hell no.
Not legitimately.
No.
It's,
no way.
The media will have you believe that there was no fraud at all, voting fraud. But what they're failing to tell you is that there was some evidence of it, but not enough to pursue. It's the what do they call it? The margin of error, I think is what they call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know. I just know that there's it's fishy any way you look at it. There's no fucking way that. I mean, look what we're stuck with now. I mean, did you see that video in the bike store? So Megan has a video somebody took from their phone, and he's walking into that bike store, and I can't even do it justice because he gets stopped. One of the guys puts his arm out because he doesn't know where he's at. I mean, he's clueless. It's like you've seen people with dementia. You know how they are. That's what he's doing. So I got up the next day to look at it because I was going to send it out to people, and I couldn't find it online. So I went back to her thing, and I realized it was a camera phone. Someone had taken it, and of course, you can't get it online. I mean, maybe if you did a deep search, you could find it, but just in a general search, I couldn't get anything on it. And that's because they don't want the average person to see it unless you really search it out. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what everybody's dealing with here. So
nothing out of this administration has been truthful from the even since before he got into office when he was campaigning. Nothing. I mean, look at the press secretary that just is no longer there anymore. Sideshow Bob, Yeah.
And, it goes back to, I think we talked about this last week. No doubt Biden's had something wrong, and we just don't hear about it. We've seen so little of him. It could have been any time within these 3 years. He was gone. Surgeries, freaking stroke. I think it was a stroke. I really do, man. I don't think there's a lot of 81-year-old people that don't behave like him.
Well, he's just a turd. You know what? He's so turd-tastic that I don't even really feel like talking about that turd anymore. Yeah. And if he wins this election, I promise you will be 100% fraudulent. He's losing the black vote. He's losing the Latino vote. There's so many people that are just against him. So if he wins in another landslide, and we don't do something about it, I'm not saying insurrection, but we don't investigate and hold accountable, then this country's lost.
I've said this
gone.
My entire, you go back and you look at, there's just so much to see. If you look at when Trump wins, they just thought it's a lock. Democrats are going to, because they had Obama for 2 cycles and they thought they're going to get Hillary for probably 2. I think they just, think about it. In the last, we've had Obama, now him, so 12 out of the last 16 years have been Democrats. I think they just thought we have this forever now. And then Trump won, and now they've kind of demonstrated, I think, during his term that, look, we didn't foresee this, but we're going to get him out of there. And 2 impeachments, constant fighting with the press, just constant. Everyone just went to war with him, and then now you get Biden. I don't believe that one. I think the writing was on the wall with that one. And I'm not saying it was. I don't know how it was done, but it was done. I don't think for a second that guy. I don't.
He's a mere puppet.
I went to bed at fucking 1 a.m. And I remember them saying, "Okay, nothing to see here." They've never done that. I don't remember them doing. I watched the Gore Bush one live. That went on throughout the whole night. They didn't say go to bed. We're shutting down the polls. And they said, go to bed, we're going to shut down the polls and resume tomorrow. And then they brought in all those mailers while we were all sleeping?
The Chads.
Come on, man. I mean, Maybe that's not how it was done, but that still looks fucking suspicious.
Chad.
Yeah, dude, I watched that whole damn thing. I was up till like 3, 4 in the morning. They never said, we're done counting.
I watched it till about 5 or 6 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. I was in Hawaii, so you know.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, a little time difference.
Just a little.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They say his polls have dropped. You know, like he's like one of the lowest presidents ever now, right?
My man Kevin Richardson in the room. What up, man? Yeah, he's just he's a puppet, man. Well, they're all puppets. Again, you know, I'm not really a big Trump fan, but at this point, it looks to me it's going to be. Although New Hampshire next week will be a very telling tale. Haley is expected to do well in New Hampshire, which doesn't surprise me because New England as a whole is very liberal. Mm-hmm. But, you know, she could actually pull through and win New Hampshire.
Can we just say that she is their other candidate? And everybody's saying it's going to be Newsom. It's her. She's right there. And that's their candidate. She's just running on the right. Well,
that very well could be. And you know what? For many, many years, Trump was a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you know, he ran on the Republican ticket. Now he's the Antichrist.
He still isn't. You think about it, he's still pretty liberal in a lot of his policies and stuff. Difference is that anybody who even you got to agree with everything they say these days, or you don't agree with anything. So there's no way to really be on that side unless you're a total fanatic, you know. So,
you know what's funny is that if he were to come out and say he was going to run on the Democratic ticket, they'd probably fawn all over him. That's just how they flip-flop back and forth.
Well, that's pretty much what Cat Williams was saying. If you're with us, we'll do anything, and if you're not, you know, people have been saying it for a while now. It's not race or sex or gender. It's freaking whether you're on their team or not. Whether you can be a black guy. We've seen it with Ben Carson. You can be a black guy, but if you're on their side, you're no longer a black guy. You know,
yeah, it's crazy,
Peter
man.
Thiel, right? Remember Peter Thiel's Trump backed him? They hated him. If he'd have been on their side, he was, you know, gay as could be. If he'd have been on their side, they would have loved him. But they turned on him, and that's what they do. It's not about, they could care less. You're not black if you're not on their team. You're just not.
It's the ultimate tribalism.
Yeah. Well, who's the guy that ran? Ray Elder out of California ran against Newsom. Larry Elder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. They were calling him a racist, like he was a black guy. Like all of a sudden he wasn't black because he was on the right. I mean, that's how they do it.
I've seen him destroy some fools.
Yeah, he's highly intelligent, isn't he? He's well spoken, but they don't want nothing to do with him. But he's a black guy. But you're not black if you're on the right.
I just don't understand. I guess. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Whatever. You know what I was just thinking about? Since we're talking a little bit of politics, and this is the Nostalgically Hip podcast, vice the Nostalgically Political podcast.
We got away from nostalgia a bit.
Well, there's a lot going on in the world right now. What about? Let's think of your favorite movies about the president.
Shit, dude. You go first.
I've got a couple. Okay. Air Force One with Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one. Completely total BS, but it was entertaining. The other one that sticks out in my mind.
Is that the one where he screams? What does he scream? He's on, "Get off my plane," or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
The other one, Billy Bruce says White House down. Good one. But that's kind of like, it doesn't really, I mean, it does focus on the president a little bit, but it's more about, whatever his name was, getting him out.
Yeah.
The Secret Service agent.
I can barely remember that.
I think it was Gerard Butler that was in that one, I think.
I remember him being. I know I've seen it. I just can't. It's kind of more of an action, Die Hard kind of movie.
Yeah. My other one I was thinking of is, I don't know, you may or may not have seen it. Dave.
Yeah, I did see that. Is that where he's not married? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I think I seen it at the theater. That was the last time I seen it. So that was what, 90s, early 90s?
I think so, yeah. Billy, Olympus Has Fallen.
Same one, right?
Yeah. It is the same movie with two different titles and different actors.
Yeah, I remember watching the first one thinking, oh, this is pretty good. But I never followed up with them. Do they have 3 or 4 now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
potentially.
There's a fucking 3. You remember the movie Cutting Edge? I think we talked about it.
Yeah.
Skater. Okay. Did you know there's like 3 or 4 of those?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I found that out. I was on Tubi the other day, and there was like Cutting Edge 2, and it's like Cutting Edge, the next cut.
Well, I know 3 movies I won't be watching.
No shit, dude. We know it's great when DB Sweeney decides I've got too much going on to show up for Cutting Edge 3.
Keep talking. I can adjust the camera a little bit.
Yeah, that figures. This is routine. Is it crooked?
If you want to burn your fucking house, you're worried about this shit right now.
There you go. You got it.
Kick a man.
Well, it wouldn't be the night, right? Unless you freaking had to roll up and leave me here sitting by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I can't think of any president movies, dude. Like,
All right, I'm gonna let you off the hook for now. Think about it, and we'll table it and come back to it. A movie I watched the other night, though, is completely unrelated. Shifting gears a little bit. I watched I think it was on Netflix, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was the Jackie Robinson story. It was
52 or something like that.
42.
42. Okay.
Yeah.
Close.
What's 10?
That's racist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great movie, man.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. And I couldn't help but to think, do you know who Shane Gillis is? He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He does a bit about Jackie Robinson, about how the white sports announcers used to talk real cool.
Oh,
yeah.
That one.
And as soon as Jackie Robinson hits a home run, it's like a fuck.
Yeah, he went through some shit, man. That's what's so funny. When I know a little bit about him from, I love baseball and have followed it and read a few books like where he was in it or covered partially, but he went through some shit, dude. Like I watched a Reggie Jackson documentary a while back, and he played in the 70s and a little into the 80s, and he was doing what I had to, and I'm sure he did. I'm sure he went through some stuff, but you always think, well, you always want Robinson to just say, hold my beer,
right?
Tell you like I was the only motherfucker playing, like. It's just kind of funny that everyone's a victim of their own little story. But you got a guy like that, like was a fucking legit, like they hated that guy. They couldn't stand that guy. And it was tough. I don't know how he did it, man. I really don't know how he did it. But these people, no fucking way. These people out there talking about how hard life is and shit, they couldn't fucking do, they couldn't live a day in his life. No fucking way.
Couldn't hold his jockstrap.
No. Hell no.
I can totally picture Jackie Robinson talking to Reggie Jackson, say, come here, sit on my knee, son. Let me tell you a little story.
100%. Dude, and think about like no support. I mean, the people that probably were supporting him were people that thought, well, hey, maybe I can make some money off this or sell some tickets, or there had to be something involved. I'm sure that there were a few people that were like, this has got to be done. But he was pretty much on his own,
Speaking of baseball, since you said you're a big fan, we actually have a Little League World Series umpire in the room right now.
Okay.
Billy Bruce.
All right. Nice.
This year, or this past year.
Mm-hmm.
So super proud of Billy. I mean, he's ugly as a sack full of smashed assholes, but I'm super proud of him.
Yeah. That's I thought you were gonna say the World Series, but the Little League World Series. Yeah, you ever watched that? It's never been my thing, man.
I watched some of it this year.
Did you? Because you're getting into it. You're kind of into that.
Well, not only that, but
You
a
know,
brother of mine, it's
Right,
I mean, it's a
yeah.
big deal. It's a huge deal. You have to get picked for that. I mean, you think Little League, but these are travel teams and stuff, and representing their countries. These kids are really, really good. So you have to have the equivalent of the officiating staff, and so these guys are hand selected.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty great experience, and I'm just, man, couldn't be any prouder of them. I might need to go to Supply and get them a new face, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, Harry Kennedy. What's up, Harry? Harry says Little League World Series is legit. It's on ESPN.
Yeah, well, so is the fucking spelling bee, so there's that. Yeah.
ESPN the Ocho.
You ever be flipping through and you see the spelling bee and you're like, oh, fucking football's over.
No.
That's how I know. It's the spelling bee's on.
I don't even have.
Speaking of football, let's talk about my Chiefs, man. They made it through the first wild card, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're moving on. We play with the Bills this weekend, so Sunday.
The Bills.
The Bills.
Are they even any good?
They weren't good at the beginning of the year, but they turned it on at the end, and I think last year was probably their year. I think they'll kind of cruise a little bit, but I think the Chiefs get them this weekend. So
Harry says, "Fucking Chiefs fan," and then it's fixed. You know what? I don't doubt that all of this crap is 5-10 years. We're going to find out that NFL is just like WWE.
Dude, I knew a guy played with the Bears. I think it's when I was in Vegas. And
Stop Bears.
I asked him that. I said, so, because I used to bet on sports a lot, and when you're betting on sports and you lose, it always looks fixed. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like, man, that's fixed because you got money on it. You lost in a bad way. But I asked him, I said, and he kind of got offended. He was like, fuck no. Do you know how hard we work? You think we're going to throw a fucking do anything like that? We're out there getting our asses beat. You think we're just going to give up a point or this and that? No, we're there to win. So I would say, if anything, it would be the refs maybe. Some of the refs look a little shady sometimes. And
I think money talks.
Oh, it definitely talks.
I wouldn't be surprised. Now, here's what I will say to that. There's no doubt that you work hard. There's no doubt that you guys are putting out and putting everything on the line. However, same thing can be said about your WWE wrestlers. Yeah, it's fake, but those guys are athletes, man. Those guys are high caliber athletes.
Yeah.
They get banged up, beat up. All that stuff's real. Injuries happen. So I don't know, man. I don't bet on sports, so I don't have that skewed look of, hey, it's fixed. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Do you remember when Lance Armstrong was ruled? Remember that fucking run of everyone? He was getting like Sportsman of the Year and shit, and everybody telling you how legit of an athlete he was. And I get an argument with my wife. This is when we'd first been married or dating. And she's like, that's for real. And I was like, you realize that fucking Lance Armstrong didn't grow up saying, I want to ride a 10 speed for a living. He didn't ever think like he wanted to be a football player. He wanted to be a baseball player. He wanted to be a basketball player. He didn't never once said, you know what? I'm going to be a fucking bike rider. He just couldn't do it. And he ended up a bike rider.
I'm a little confused. Are you talking about One Nut Lance?
Yeah. One nut. Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, dude, they were giving him athlete of the year. And it's like, he didn't want to be a tennis speed rider. No one wakes up and says, I want to fucking ride a tennis speed for a living. You just fall into it because everything else.
I guess that's all you got to do to win Athlete of the Year. Just lose a nut. They got the cancer, the bull cancer.
The best part was he was juicing the whole time or whatever he's doing, the PEDs. I don't know exactly what he was doing. But
Eopoetin.
Yeah, and he got popped, right?
Yep.
Didn't they take all of his stupid freaking paperboy trophies away? Because that's what that is. That's how you get started in that sport. You're like a paperboy, and someone says you're real good. You did 3 neighborhoods today. Everybody else was doing 1.
You did 3 so fast.
You did 3 really good. I think there's a future in this whole. That's what they should make them do, is deliver fucking papers while they're riding. That should be part of the job. They have to throw papers. Like, remember that game Paperboy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd have to, the kid would throw the mail or the newspaper into the mailbox, and sometimes it'd go through a window.
Right.
They could point them for that. Then I might watch.
That would be cool. Yeah. I said that wrong earlier. It's erythropoietin. So he was blood doping, basically. So he's swapping out his blood and getting red blood cells, which are your oxygen component of your blood. So yeah, he's cheating like a mama.
Yeah, but he was on actual steroids.
Oh, he was on everything.
Yeah, he was like, dude, he's dating Sheryl Crow.
Dude,
he's not Gene Simmons. He's riding a fucking tennis speed. And he's like, what the shit's going on here? He was this fucking celebrity. You remember that shit?
Yeah. There's a great documentary called Icarus. It talks about the blood doping and Lance Armstrong.
I think I started that. I couldn't get through it, dude. It was so like...
It's really good, but it's very technical.
Yeah, that's where it lost me. I'm not the smartest guy, so I was kind of like floating off and... All right. I need, like,
cool story,
notes.
bro.
I need like Icarus cliff notes.
Right. All right. Some guys are doing some sports and they took shots in their butt and some other stuff. The end.
There you go. Yeah, that was just classic. Yes, my wife was like, "Oh, that's a real athlete." This motherfucker, like, one day someone said, "You know, you're not real good at football," and next thing you know, he's riding fucking tennis speed. That's how that went down.
Lucas is I just watched that recently. Billy says there's a great football movie called Lucas, man.
Yeah, that's with Notre Dame, man. Is that? Oh, that's Rudy.
Yeah, that's Rudy. Billy
was with Corey Haim. Is that who was in that?
No, I think Billy help me remember. I believe it was he was it was a Southern school, and he was a walk-on basically. You know, big old fat kid. And what school was it, Billy?
Down south, though.
Yeah. Anyway, essentially, what happened is he beat all the odds, right? Made it to the NFL and was killed in a car crash.
Oh damn!
It's
dark.
It's a dark movie, but it's a.
Is it true?
Yeah, it's really, even though he was killed in the end, it's a very inspirational movie, believe it or not, and it's a little bit of a tearjerker, man.
Yeah, what was the one when we were kids? The diving accident, was that Brian's song? And I remember seeing it as a kid and going, "What the shit?"
I think so.
Like, such a downer.
Yeah, it'll come to me. Billy doesn't remember. It'll come to me. It is one of the Southern schools, I'm pretty sure. But man, it's really good. Really good.
I'll bet I've seen it. I just can't remember it.
You know, and there is, if you're into this kind of thing, there is a very spiritual component to it too. It's very hidden, though. I mean, you got to kind of pay attention to it. You can pick up on it if you're paying attention. But yeah, I'd recommend it. Lucas, that's right. Call now. Watch Lucas for free.
You know what I pulled up the other day? Speaking of nostalgia, I pulled up Chico and the Man and started going through a few of those episodes. Wow, dude! But I was trying to explain to my wife, like, because she's a little bit younger, and I was like, you know, he was huge. And I remember, I think he killed himself. So I started going down a rabbit hole and looking it up. And then there was a documentary on that was on the same channel. So I started watching that. It's like, man, that dude was fucking 24 years old. Or maybe 22, and he killed himself.
That's Freddie Prinze, right?
Yeah, Freddie Prinze, right? Because she was going, well, that's his son. His son's, I go, yeah, but he was nothing. The only way you know who he is because of Freddie Prinze. He was that big. So they kind of explained how big he was. He was fucking, like, huge. He was on all the teen magazines and shit like that. And then there was a story about John Travolta came along, started stealing his thunder. So he wanted to kill him. He's like, legit. Like, he called J.J. Walker and said, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. He's like, why? And he's like, because he's on...
taking my shit.
Taking my magazine covers.
Billy Brucey, the Man. It was Arkansas. Yep.
Okay, Razorbacks, all right.
Yeah, Lucas Burrowsworth. Man, great movie. But I just lost my train of thought. Oh, well. Bye. Because that never happens, ever. Jesus Christ. There's the children's outside the room there. Anyway, football movies. That's what we were talking about.
Were we talking about football movies? I thought we were talking about Lance Armstrong, but we can go into football movies.
Well, we started with Lance.
Football, and we're talking about the Chiefs going to the playoffs.
But we were talking about this movie, Lucas.
Well, now we are.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you said, wasn't there another movie out?
Brian's song.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I just remember that from being a kid. A good what's the I know a lot of people would say Rudy, and I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I've never seen that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't.
It's pretty good, man.
That's what I've heard. Isn't that crazy?
That's real. I can't believe you haven't seen that, dude.
Yeah, I know the story though. I mean, I know he comes in for like what 7 seconds.
Something like that. I think one play, yeah. Something like
that. It doesn't seem worth my time to watch 2.5 hours. But I already know he's just in there for 7 seconds. You know? Talk about a fucking spoiler, right? Right? You're like, don't bother. He's only in there for... He wasn't a real player.
There's this guy. Here's Cliff Note version. There's this guy who wanted to play football. He tried to walk on football team. He got to play one play at the end.
7 seconds. One play for 7 seconds.
The end.
Well, I'm sure it's a great story.
Wow, way to shit all over it for me.
Yeah, I would
Invincible.
There's some great stories out there, right? Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's with Wahlberg, right?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I think that's Wahlberg.
Interesting. What about Any Given Sunday?
Yeah, I didn't like that. To me, I'm sure a lot of it was true, but it kind of took the fun out of football for me because it just seemed so fucked up. Like, you know, I know those guys are weird in their head cases, but it just seemed... And I thought The Blind Side was ass too, man. I just thought that was fucking stupid.
I finally watched that, man, and it could have been all right not.
Yeah, it was like you know what it reminded me of? One of those Sunday night movies when we were kids, but it somehow or another made it at the big screen, and somehow or another Sandra Bullock was in it, and somehow or another she won an Academy, which was fucking crazy, right? She won an Academy for that movie.
The end.
Yeah, the end. I mean, I've seen guys not get Academies before for fucking, you know, way better projects than that. She got that just handed to her.
She's part of the Illuminati, man.
She fucking sucks.
That's why she's in the Illuminati.
Yeah, she's another one of those, right? We were talking about Tommy Lee Jones. You know, it should say Tommy Lee Jones as Tommy Lee Jones. It should be Sandra Bullock. My wife likes her, dude. I'll come in and she'll be like having that fucking one of those stupid movies. And she's been in like the rom-coms. Mm-hmm. Endless amounts of times. Like, and then she gets an Academy. You should not get an Academy for being in that many rom-coms. Period.
In fact, you should actually have one taken away.
Right, you should. Like, you owe us an Academy if you ever get one.
Right.
What is it? Fucking in the red? Is it in the red? Is it? How do they? What's the term for that? Where you owe us your
oh yeah, in the red. Yeah, she's definitely in the red.
Yeah, you're credited.
So, you know, I never really found her all that attractive. Like,
me neither.
A lot of people do, man. I was like, I mean,
did? I don't remember anybody.
A lot of people really? I know did, man. But, you know, I mean, I wouldn't kick her out of bed, but it's not like, you know.
I heard 81 million people voted for Joe Biden, and somehow or another, I don't fucking know one. That's something, too.
I know a couple.
Do you? Okay. I might know one
I'm sure.
If I could get over admitting it to myself that I know people that might have voted for him.
You'd be surprised. And, hey, you know what? Again, I didn't spend as much time in the military as I did to not support your right to vote for whoever you want. But in the same token, I also support your right to be stupid.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, no, Sandra Bullock, I never thought she was hot. And I remember going to see The Demolition Man. I think she was just starting out then.
Oh, yeah.
And I still, like, she was just kind of annoying, right? Like, she was just kind of that girl in the middle. And
well, wait a minute. Was she talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was annoying then.
Right. Yeah.
Billy says beauty's only a light switch away. Amen.
Another football. I did watch the one with Warner, Steve Warner.
Kurt Warner?
Kurt Warner, yeah. There you go. Thanks.
You know, I think I remember reading something that before he got, you know, found, that he was stocking shelves at Deerberg's.
Yeah. I remember that when it came out because they always said they were going to write a movie and do it, but I think it took like 20 fucking years because they were talking about that in 1999. I
have not seen the movie because I think it's on. I think it's on one of them paid platforms that I'm too cheap. We don't have Piggly Wigglies here, Billy.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. I mean, you kind of know the story, but I think Bets didn't, and she liked it, appreciated it for what it was.
Well, it's cool too because I know you're a transplant here, but I consider myself a native here, and it's cool to see the story develop in your city.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to check it out eventually when I find somebody to give it to me for free because I'm cheap.
Yeah, I think it's on I'm sure you can get that anywhere at this point.
I'll get it up.
I'll bet it's on Amazon. You got Amazon.
I do have Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, dude, I'm so sick of Amazon. So I've had an Amazon account since like the inception because, I've been going to school forever. Lots of people go to school for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors. Anyway, so, I'd get my textbooks from shit. I ordered this. Okay. I ordered this piece of gear, and I pay for Prime, right? It's supposed to be delivered in 2 days. Well, the second day came, and I got an email from them saying, "Oh, sorry, it's delayed for 2 more days." So I got pissed, and I called them up. It was the principle of the matter. I asked. I said, "Why am I paying for a service that you can't provide, but you're advertising that you provide?" And the solution was, "Well, we'll give you a month free." I'm like, "Oh, a month free of a service you can't even provide? No thanks. That's insulting." So I canceled Prime.
Oh, did you cancel?
Yeah.
No shit.
Fuck them, man. You pay over, you buy something that's over $25 and you get free shipping anyway. So, I mean, what would it do? It might not come in 2 days, but Prime shit doesn't show up in 2 days.
Yeah, well, not at the holiday time. It's really bad, but I think they've gotten a lot better in a lot of. Sometimes they'll get shit overnight if it falls into that category. I've needed shit. I didn't want to go out, and it'll be there on the doorstep when I get up.
Right, but so I had the representative. I said, "Go back through my record, and I want you to find out how many times this has happened." Mm-hmm. And I never got an exact number from her, but I heard a couple of times. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not. That was my point. It's not an isolated incident. Mm-hmm. I can forgive an isolated incident, but it happens more often than it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And that was my whole point.
So when you canceled them, had you already paid up to a certain amount, and did they give it back to you? Because I think they bill you all at once, right?
Yeah. I think I have until the end of the month. Something like that.
So they'll just give you like it on a kind of basis, like, okay,
prorated.
Okay. And then we won't charge you, or do they actually refund you back?
No, they won't. No.
Okay.
Cheap bastards.
Yeah, and I just had to up it because they were going to start doing the commercials on the channel, right? And they were like, okay, now you have to opt out, and the opt out is $2 more a month, which I just automatically signed up for because I'm not watching your fucking propaganda, because that's what I see commercials as. Just look, I can go outside and not see fucking 90% black people. I don't know why you turn on the TV, because that's what it is, right? It's like they're trying to convince you of this world that's going on. Look, I know that 75% of all people aren't gay. If you see a commercial, and so they're like, no, I'll pay you $2 a month more not to see your fucking shit that you're trying to feed me that doesn't really exist.
I think there's a T-Mobile commercial out now that I see all the time. It features a gay couple on it, and then there's always HIV drug commercials.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing about that is, dude? So they'll put the majority of people in that are black, which I see as like, so do only black people have AIDS? Like, is that what you're saying? You know what I mean? It's like, that's not racist, because you would think they'd use all white people. If you didn't want to be racist at all, you think you'd just use all white people for that and go, only white people get AIDS. But it is. Look at it. Check it out next time. It's mostly black people.
Black and Hispanic. Black and Hispanic. And I think it's insulting that they do that.
Well, I think it's insulting anytime you're so fucking hyper-focused. No, we all know you can go, like, for sure 60% of everyone in every commercial is black. When I watched a thing one day. They had a mixed race couple. There's a black guy and a white woman, and they had 2 kids, and they went so far as to get mixed kids. And I thought, man, that is I just see that as racist. Like, you're so hyper focused. It's all you think about. And I don't think that should be all you think about. You just shouldn't, that shouldn't be the way you live your life. But these fuckers do, man. It's sick.
I may surprise you with this, but I kind of find it refreshing to a point, but it's being overdone.
Why refreshing?
It's more of a actual sample of America instead of, in the past. I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this, but it was all white people. Let's face it. Maybe a black person or a Hispanic person thrown in every once in a while, but it's nice to see a more accurate reflection, because just walk around the neighborhood here. There's a lot of mixed couple. Hell, Connie and I are a mixed couple.
Yeah, but you're not. You can walk out any time of the day and you don't see, like, if you watch a commercial. First off, if you were from another country and you watched commercials here, you'd think everyone was black and everyone was gay.
And had AIDS.
And that's not and had AIDS. And that's, yeah, black, gay, and AIDS.
I tell you what, I've seen that damn commercial so much. I went and got a blood test. I thought maybe they were trying to tell me something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think it is representative. I think you're right. There are that in this country, but not to the extent that they're doing it. To the extent that they do it, it's fucking overkill.
Well,
it's
yeah, I agree. I agree with that part.
It's like, it would be one thing, like what you're saying is true. It would be one thing if you were being more honest. You're being, okay, the entire world, like maybe 50s television, isn't all just white middle class people in suburban areas. It's more, we're going to be more honest about that. We're going to take the 13%, the 20%, and then the leftover, and make it be more accurate with that. But that's not the way it is. And to me, it's pandering. To me, it's total fucking racism. I just don't think. Do I think that there was an issue where it needed to be addressed? Certainly, but to the point where it's all they think about 24, that's fucking sick to me. It's just sick.
It's typical knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, and you're not going to get into heaven because you did something here that it's fucking stupid. It's to do it and do it in an honest way.
What the hell is going on, man?
Dude. But to do it in an honest way, I like that better.
I'm so confused right now.
But they can't ever do anything. That's America, right? They can't ever do anything accurate. They have to overcorrect to the fucking max. And
America.
Yeah, that's how it is. So it's always been like that. They just can't go, let's build upon this slowly and change things slowly. They're like, fuck, we fucked up. Let's fucking go the other way with it now. And that's exactly what all this shit is.
Billy says you put an updated version of All in the Family on TV now, and people would shit. It'd never get past the screening on that, man.
Which is stupid, because if you go watch that, and we've talked about that, and even Chico and Amanda, the man is like slamming Mexicans the whole time. That's all he's doing. But it's in a sincere way of, I'm wrong. I'm wrong to be judging like this. That's kind of the fucking joke. And that's kind of the way Archie Bunker was. It was the joke was really on him.
Right. They're trying to
you how stupid it is to be like that. It was actually a good lesson. Don't be this guy.
Right. It was definitely social, God, what do I want to say? Push, like a public safety, or not public safety, but public awareness. Don't be that guy.
Versus now, I think they've created more racism and hate, because they're fucking ramming it down your throat so much. I end up talking to people that are like, fuck, I'm worse than I've ever been at this point. Like, fuck them all. Like, not in terms of race, but just fuck television, fuck their messages, fuck everything. And
well, that's exactly why I got rid of cable. I don't watch TV anymore. Mm-hmm. What's a sad reality is that you can get more accurate, unbiased news from Al Jazeera website.
Dude, that's interesting you bring that up, because if I do a search for anything, like punch in Biden, and then you go like to the first few topics, it's all, God, what a great president. God, what a great job. Like, man, this fucking shit's bought and paid for. And then I started realizing if you go to Al Jazeera, they'll kind of give an honest take, about as honest as you can get.
Even BBC is biased.
They're terrible. They're they're actually one of the worst. People in England bitch about them all the time. This isn't. They're on that hard left.
Yeah, it's I don't see things ever changing anymore. But on the plus side, more people are now going to the internet to get their news.
Yeah, that's when it changes. You just can't let it get captured again. You can't let them scare the way they did the corporations to the fact that now those corporations just lie because they're so afraid.
It's
I heard a thing the other day. There's a conspiracy right now going around about like Star Wars and all of that. That the reason that Disney and these corporations chewed up like Marvels and Star Wars was because they were trying to send these messages, right? These activists were trying to send these messages because you can see now movies are more focused on the message than they are good entertainment. So they were trying to send these messages out, but people just weren't going to see their movies. And when I say people, I mean like maybe the out of the box thinkers, the sci-fi guys, the nerds, the people that were reading comics like Marvels.
Your hardcore fans.
The hardcore fans like that, they weren't reaching through The Blind Side, the movie The Blind Side. So what they did was they chewed up, they said, well, fuck, we'll buy them up. So they bought up Star Wars, then they bought up like Marvels. They said, okay, since you're not listening to us, not getting the message, we're going to buy up your shit and we're going to use their voices to spread the message to you. So that's kind of the theory right now going around that's what went on, and that's also why Disney just doesn't give a fuck. Now there's another theory going around that Disney said they're trying to cut losses. So if they make a movie and use the borrowers, put in like $300 million, that's what we're going to use this movie and shoot it for, and then they know they're only going to make 50. They get to scalp the rest, and they can hide the rest inside the company, which makes them, it's still a profit, but they just wasn't invested into the actual movie.
I wonder if Walt Disney's tumbling in his grave, man.
Dude, well, look at some of those movies, like the sci-fi, the special effects. And I'm not an expert on special effects, but there's a lot of movies you can go back and look at from fucking 89 that look better than this shit that Disney's producing. And they didn't spend $350 million. I know shit with Bidenomics is...
The hell you say. Billy says UK is just mad due to a lack of dental plan.
That's a good point, man. I love it when people can preach to us about everything, but they still haven't figured out how to fucking put fluoride in their water. It's fucking crazy, right?
They hadn't figured out how to whoop us either.
They can't. Well, they're fucking the size of Nevada, dude. What are they gonna do, right?
Well, even when we were colonists, we still whooped that ass.
We whooped that ass. Yeah, we sure did.
History is really funny. I'm sure you remember the story of Paul Revere, right? And what did he ride across saying? To your memory?
The British is coming. The British is coming.
Right. So that's such a fallacy. So at the time they were all British.
I'm coming.
He would not have said the British were coming because they were all still British. What historians postulate is that he probably sent something to the effect that redcoats are coming or the army or whatever the case, but it makes you just wonder why how did it translate, the old telephone game, right? How did it go from what really happened to the British are coming?
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's because easier for school children to remember. I don't know. But it's a lie.
Sounds better for sure than the redcoats are coming. The redcoats are coming.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
Even back then they started.
Yeah, for sure. Did you know that shit's tainted, right? Motherfuckers. Like, what was the Francis Scott Key one? Even as a kid, I found it. He sat. What was he supposed to be sitting down watching the Rockets and shitter, and he wrote that
Night,
song? Billy. How do we know that he did that?
Yeah, he was supposedly a prisoner in. Oh God, I'm forgetting. It's on the tip of my tongue. The fort that he was a prisoner in, and as the firefight was going on, he supposedly penned the anthem. But who gave him a pen and paper? That's what I want to know. Right. That's like that's a weapon.
Yeah, you never get any like really crazy ass like stories, like you just something crazy. It's just always something great, and it can be told over and over. Like you said, the school kids. You never like he was choking his girlfriend and he fucking thought of the song and he stopped.
Or she was choking him, and that's when he saw the.
He stopped and he wrote it down and he went back to choking for a bit. And then he finished it up after, you know. You never get that. Like, what was he doing when he wrote that? He was sitting on watching the fireworks and it just came to him. You know, it wasn't like he was with a prostitute. He'd had too much to drink.
Well, the story goes he was a military prisoner of war.
Okay. Yeah, it's always good. It's always some.
I want to say it was Fort McHenry. No, that can't be right. I should look that up. So, Francis, let me get to the damn right thing. But yeah, who knows? He probably got caught doing it in a compromising position, and they back then they had to.
Don't you think they changed that story though? Like, yeah, he'd been out, you know, at the bar all night long. He'd lost his week's pay to gambling. He owed his bookie a lot of money.
Look at that, Fort McHenry. Holy shit!
Yeah. So what's it say? He was wood engraving or Francis? Oh, this is a wood engraving at Fort McHenry.
Well, that's because that's where he was, I do believe. Oh, wait. Yeah, Fort McHenry. The words are from a poem that was written by Francis Scott Key in 1814 during the War of 1812. On September 13th, 1814, Key watched a nighttime battle between Great Britain and America that took place in Baltimore, Maryland at Fort McHenry. However, it wasn't America yet. So the British were just fighting the British.
Okay.
But I understand why they say the Americans, to make it clear. The colonists probably would have been more appropriate, but who the fuck am I?
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's like a patriotic story, right? I mean, that's what we heard as kids. That's kind of what you were saying about the British. He's running through town. How do we know?
Right.
Like, you wouldn't maybe like, you know, he was getting his fucking dick sucked in a back alleyway and he happened to notice a fucking red coat. And then he got on the whore and he made her, you know, freaking dragged her down the street with her hair.
Hurry up.
Yeah. Yeah, you never, that's not the school. That could have been what he was doing. They're like, so what were you doing? I was getting sucked and, you know, I seen him and I started, you know, spouting.
Remind me to tell you a story about that later.
Yeah, when we found Paul Revere, he had puked all down the front of his tweed jacket, tweed pea coat. He'd obviously been drinking a lot that night. You know, Paul Revere, he was a drinker. Look at this fucking guy.
Oh yeah, he's a boozer for sure, man.
But wouldn't that make for a better story than he was a racist, which is what they try to ruin everyone? Wouldn't it be just surprising if someone came out once and said, so we've got some new dirt on Paul Revere, and they'd be like, what? Was he racist? No. This time he wasn't. What we found was he was Jack the Ripper. Paul Revere was Jack the Ripper. I mean, you ever tie that shit in? It's always the same thing. Let's take their statues down. You never have anybody actually have a legit thought and go, oh, you fucking killed 12 women?
But he was racist because he only killed white women.
Yeah. So he killed, so he was Jack the Ripper? Yeah. Oh, we better take a statue down. Right? And then they fucking legit. You get out there and they take a statue down. But it's always something stupid. It's never like a good, like, man, that, fuck. You know, like a Netflix special, like a 12 episode, How to Make a Murderer, but with Paul Revere.
Well, you know, Benjamin Franklin, when they were excavating his home to kind of preserve it, they found hundreds of human bones in the walls.
Yeah, there you go. And they'd probably rather call him a racist or something. Go, well, he also owned a slave. Like, but he had fucking bones everywhere. Yeah, but he also owned a slave. Like, fuck.
So that whole thing, it just doesn't wash with me because that was just how things were back then, right? Mm-hmm. Was it wrong? Absolutely.
To find bones in the house? Or
no, the owning slaves.
Oh, yeah. It was lexicon, right? I mean, everybody was doing it.
Well,
like
yeah.
Stanley Cup, right? These kids love Stanley Cups. One of these days, what if 100 years from now people went, oh, people that own Stanley Cups? They were just all bad.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, right?
Even though my daughter owns one.
Yeah, mine too. I think all of them do. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's always the same thing, right? He was a racist or he was just that. Never a really good story. Like, it'd be fucking crazy to type Ben Franklin, the Jack the Ripper. What was the timeline on that?
About 100 years difference.
Was it? Okay.
Ripper was, I believe, in the
1800, right? Early 1900s?
No, the mid to late 1800s.
And when was Franklin?
1700s.
Yeah, a little bit of difference. But what if you found out he was a vampire that lived?
Ooh.
He was immortal.
Ooh.
And then he had to go in to real hiding. I'm just making shit up here. But my wife has to deal with this all the time. I just keep going on in the stories. And
he got turned into a vampire when the lightning struck the key.
Right.
He got special powers.
God, yeah. There we go.
See?
Yep.
It could happen. You could write a book about it.
Yeah, I mean, here you got Revere Silversmith. He was a craftsman and a silversmith. But nowhere on there does it say. So you fall into two categories. What we find more disturbing would be he's a rapist or he was a racist. But he could have been a lot of shit. And they wouldn't tell us about it unless it fell into those. And there's probably a lot of ways, if you look deep, you could probably ruin a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
When was Paul Revere? That would have been way before. Can we tie anybody to the Jack the Ripper murders? Can we find a timeline?
Jack.
Not well, but let's find someone who's prominent during that period, and let's fucking blame them for it. Why hasn't somebody done that? Like, I want to ruin Teddy Roosevelt, right? Wouldn't that have been about the same time? I want to ruin Teddy Roosevelt. I'm going to tie him to the Jack the Ripper murders.
Might have been. Let's see. All right, yeah, so late 1800s, 1888.
1888. So, okay, so you could, what Roosevelt would have been 40, so we'd have to go a little bit. We could tie Woodrow Wilson, and that'd be the perfect guy to tie to the Ripper murders. But why hasn't somebody tried that? You've never heard anybody come out and say it was somebody prominent, by the way. You've heard like a doctor. You know, right? There was a doctor, there was an artist. They said it was an artist for a while. You've never heard anybody say, we think it might have been.
Well, were there any presidents back then that were actually doctors? Let me research that.
No, but what about, that would have been way back then. What if it was like fucking Abe Lincoln, but he'd been killed already, but he hadn't been killed. He like faked his death and then he went off to England and started murdering prostitutes.
Yeah, it was all faked. Well, you know, he was a vampire hunter.
That's right.
Too.
I actually read that book and then I watched the movie. The book was pretty good. The movie was just terrible.
All right, let's see here. There have been 3 rehearsing doctors who have become presidents in U.S. history. Dr. Benjamin Harrison.
Who?
Oh, he was the leader of the U.S. from 1889 to 1893. That fits the timeline.
That does fit the timeline. What's his name?
Dr. Benjamin Harrison.
I think we have our suspect.
I think so. Dr. William Henry Harrison, who filled in as the 9th leader of the U.S. in 1841. So that's a little bit before. Oh, here we go. Dr. James Garfield, who filled in as the 20th leader of the U.S. from 1881 until his death soon thereafter. So we can rule him out.
Maybe.
So it's, well, it depends on when he died. Doesn't say. It just says soon thereafter. So I'm assuming that he didn't live much longer. But Benjamin Harrison fits. It fits the doctor. It fits the.
Now, if he had done anything worth a shit, like that people cared about, because I don't know who he is. I'm sure he did something, but he doesn't. They're not going to tear a statue down. But if they could tie him to something legit, right, like that,
then he's obviously racist just by the name of Benjamin Harrison.
What if we came out and wrote a book? You like to write books. What if we wrote a book accusing him of being Jack the Ripper? Do you think we'd get sued?
No, because you classify it as a work of fiction.
Mm-hmm. What if we could tie him, like in the area at one of the murders?
Again, it's a work of fiction. Yeah. It's a what if.
I mean, and who could prove us wrong? Go, no, he wasn't there. How the fuck do you know? Did he send you a fucking letter via pigeon saying he wasn't there? Because we know they didn't have phones, right?
We talked to Madame Cleo. Call me now.
Right? Yeah, fuck. Like, there's our guy. Look at that fucking guy. He looks like a murderer.
He does. And a racist. Did you know you could look like a racist?
Well, think about it. What's the difference? You go back and prove this guy is a serial killer. They go back all the time now and say this guy, and they can't defend themselves, right? This guy's a racist, or this guy he was, whatever they say.
He was a pedophilic, racist.
They don't even care about pedophile anymore. They care about racist, or they care about, he liked to squeeze women's butts. He hugged too many women. You can get in trouble for hugging now, right? You're not even supposed to fucking hug anybody.
Speaking of homos, Cat Williams was calling out P. Diddy.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, but I mean more surfaced. Just like...
So did he come out and clarify and go, yeah, I meant he was sucking his dick?
Oh, yeah, he straight up is saying he's a Peter Puffer. But my point is at this time, there's no denying, and there's some pictures that have been surfacing.
Of what?
Use your imagination.
Of Diddy sucking or getting...
I'm not going to say because I didn't actually see the pictures. I just read the article.
Okay.
So I don't know. But they just said some compromising pictures. Whatever, man. It's all Illuminati.
Right. An interesting thing would be, think about that. What a setback for the gay community if everything that they've said, and you had a gay guy there the whole time, because obviously that's gay, right? I mean, that's just fucking gay.
Gay?
And he didn't want to come out. So he probably says, oh, I have gay friends and this and that, but he's like, and I'm gay, but you'll never know. Yeah. Right, think about that.
So once again, I don't care if you're gay or straight, but
obviously he does.
Stop lying, man. Just
obviously,
be you.
Obviously he thinks it's wrong. Just think about that. If you're fucking gay, isn't that the whole point to it? Is like, I've had to hide this. Grown men were going to their graves having to hide the fact that they were gay, right? And that was the tragedy, is that, well, they should be able to come out and say that they're gay. I agree. But if he was doing that and keeping that shit quiet, he was gay, and they always they would manage to turn it around, like, well,
I'm not gay, I'm bi.
He just he didn't want to come out and say it because he's supposed to be this thug kind of guy or whatever, that badass, whatever he is.
He's get that reputation or whatever.
Right? Yeah. But he liked his freaking cock and balls. I just think that's funny. I think it's a setback.
I think Cat Williams is going to end up dead soon.
You think?
I think he's going to suicide himself, but not really.
Yeah.
How do they say? What are the kids saying nowadays? He's going to get Hillaried.
So I don't even know the story behind Cat Williams. I know we talked about it last week. We discussed it. You knew who he was. He just got canceled or some shit, but I don't know what he got canceled for.
No, he didn't get canceled at all. He went on Shannon Sharp's podcast.
No, but I heard before on that one that I watched, he said, I got canceled by these motherfuckers, and then it didn't bother me, though, because I wasn't part of the club.
Oh, that part. Yeah. It's just more, get canceled, I guess is a word, but more like blackballed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't playing the game. He wasn't on board with what they believe. And, he's a very spiritual and religious. I mean, he has a belief, a strong belief in God. So that's... that he said in an interview that's why he couldn't go along with that.
Yeah, that's
But I just laugh because he says they're part of the Illuminati, man, and that's just that's a tinfoil subject for sure.
Maybe though, didn't I was thinking about this after we talked about it last week, and I remember National Treasure too, right, with Nicolas Cage. That was kind of like that same fucking thing.
Right. Well, I believe that the Illuminati existed. I don't really believe it.
Well, wouldn't it be the elites today? It would be that class that we don't know. Well, that's what Sargent says in our not flat Earth, but podcast. He basically says there are people that, well, the very first one we did with him, the interview, he says that's the people that are hiding everything. That's kind of his theory. I mean, whether you want to believe in flat Earth or not, obviously we don't. He does, but
or does he?
Or does he? Right? We always say that. Yeah, and we got to get him back on. I'd like to. You know what? Because here's one of the things that you sent me the other night. It was when, and I had actually thought about Biden bombed Yemen around Congress, right? Which, remember, a lot of people forgot that in 2020 when he was running for president, he said, I think Trump had just bombed Iran and killed that Samardi, whatever that guy's name was, that leader. And everyone condemned him, saying he went by Congress and he needs to get. And Biden came out and said, "You need to go to Congress to get that passed. As your president, I would never go around Congress." And he turns around the other day and he bombs Yemen, going around Congress, right, ignoring them, which is unconstitutional.
So you should have known he was going to do it because he said he wouldn't.
Absolutely, yeah. It pretty much does everything Trump does. That's the interesting thing behind it is the level of deception. Like, he's done everything Trump has done that they hated, but he's done it in the same way but a different way. If you can go back and look at all the shit he's done over the years, it's the same way but in a different fashion. And that's the same thing. So he turns around and does that, but you sent me the text and you go, here we go. And this is kind of what we've been talking about with him getting us into a major war this year.
Oh, now, it's coming.
Yeah, and I've talked to some people, and I tend to, I can't help. They'll say, well, why would that stop us from voting for Trump? Why would being in a war have anything to do with it? And I can agree with that, but I always come back and say this: you're thinking way too fucking logically. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, he got us into this war. Let's get somebody to get us out of this war. Right. But you're thinking logically. You got to start thinking like Americans think. And that's illogically. And that would mean whatever you're fucking thinking, think the opposite. Right?
Or just think of the craziest fucking idea you can come up with.
Yeah. And that's where I always come. We've talked about this. Don't sell Americans short. I mean, short when it comes to fucking shit up. Because whatever's going to be with the cure, a lot of people tend to think these days, well, that's not the case. I believe in my fellow Americans. I think we're starting to see. I don't. I just don't. That's why I think Biden gets reelected and something will happen, And I sent you that video, right, where that other guy said the same thing, said that's his prediction too. He's going to get us into a major war or they're going to get him to step down.
It's inevitable, man.
Yeah.
China's going to move on Taiwan soon. Mm-hmm. Very soon, because that country's not doing as well as most people think they are.
That's right here, man. I think it's Peter Zion. I read his book on, I forget it was, but he's, what does he call himself? I don't know. But he breaks it down as they won't be around in a decade because they won't be here in 2030. I think he's even on Rogan saying the same thing. And whether you believe it or not, how would you know? They were looking during the recession when we were kind of hurting back in COVID. They were looking pretty good. That communist idea, a lot of people were buying into that. But everything he said in the book makes sense. The agriculture, they don't have that. One of the things that makes America so great is that this soil's fairly new. It hadn't been turned, and for all of their turf, it's pretty rocky. A lot of it anyway. Russia's been turned over for centuries. They've been around for that side of the world forever. We're fairly new, undiscovered, fresh dirt. It's also, they say, why a lot of reasons they come over here and they buy all the land. They use our soil for their product.
Which I have a huge problem with.
You should have, especially when you went to war for the country. And you got people, from other countries coming over here and taking it. And you essentially fought for them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Right in their mother's mouth.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, so it could go either way, man, the way I see it. You just can't. The traditional way of thinking is gone, so you can't predict really what's going to happen. And that's what happened with Trump. You know, the Democrats were fully relying on traditional thought processes. And look what happened. The orange demon got elected, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, all bets are off, in my opinion. The way I see it, China could potentially not exist to the extent of what they are now, you know, by 2030. But I'm going to say no. I don't think, maybe 10 years from that or past that. But they're kind of struggling as a nation, but it's all kept on the hush hush because they control everything. But just from people I've talked to that are in the know, and things that I've read, different news articles, reading between the lines, they're going to be in a position soon where they're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to strike and do something.
Well, I think if you're going to do that, and I think they have every intention of, you're not going to wait until, and I don't know what the future holds, but let's say that there is a chance that Trump were to take the White House. You're definitely not going to do it when he's in office. I do think he had them scared. I really do. Legitimately scared.
Well, our tariffs are still hurting them.
Fuck yeah, dude. I mean, totally. I'd invested in a lot of stocks in China and I'd done it before he came in. Cobalt was a big thing over there, so I was buying up cobalt, and then he came in and put those tariffs on. My fucking stocks. And I was like, fuck. It was looking so good, but.
Or if you really want to be conspiracy minded, they've got plenty of time because the election is going to be rigged anyway. China's going to be involved. I mean, Biden is in bed with them as it is.
For sure, dude. But that's the thing. I'm just saying, from another angle, if you thought, so here's a good way to look at it. If they don't invade Taiwan, then they know the results of this election.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah. That is exactly my point.
Yeah. Aren't you guys going to want to do this before Trump gets in?
Silly cute. White man.
You're cute.
You know, after the last 5 years in this country, nothing would surprise me anymore.
No, I mean, I think that I say it all the time. The writing's on the wall. They've been telling you, you'll do what we say.
One way or another.
Yeah, God forbid they get a centralized currency, digital currency. We're fucked.
Oh, we're beyond fucked.
Yeah, it'll get to the point where if you don't do or vote the way we want, we'll just fucking shut your banks down. We don't like what you're buying. You won't buy it anymore. That's where it's headed. They're telling you. I don't know what more. It used to be that it would have been paranoia. But now you look at it and go, no, this is exactly, it is what it is.
People are too uneducated on a global scale to see what's happening. It's not like it's, like you said, it's not being hidden any longer. They're telling you to your face, but people are not educated. I don't want to call them stupid. There's some stupid people out there, but they're just not educated on what's happening around the world. They're just worried about TikTok and Instagram and their own little bubble, and they're going to get screwed. So what that means is that they're just going to do what they're told. Status quo.
You know, you're looking at this Georgia thing fall apart right now. A lot of shit coming out on that. And kudos to his lawyers for breaking that shit. I mean, I guess money can buy you a lot of shit because that's all true. I mean, you heard about what is it? She's paid the prosecution for the Trump. They were having an affair. She broke up the family. They were basically using the taxpayers' dollars they want to keep the case going so they can keep the fund money. You got to check it all out. It's a crazy story. I want to name names, but I can't remember them. But his attorneys discovered this, and they broke it. And it looks like that whole case is about to fall apart. They'll have to throw out those indictments. I mean, you're seeing corruption on the other side too, and now she's calling everybody a racist because she's black, and so that's the fallback, right? She didn't do no wrong. You're just racist. You're doing this because I'm black. But I mean, so if they can't, I guess we've talked about this. Like there's no world where he makes it to the White House.
No. Keep throwing that word racist around. It's fine because, it's come to the point where it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's so overused.
No, did you watch Kevin Whitlock? He called out Stephen A. Franklin on ESPN.
No.
Stephen A. Franklin wrote a book or something. Whitlock said, well, that's inaccurate. And Franklin did a big, long podcast, shut his podcast down basically and said, hey, I called him out. Just said, this is the worst fucking human being I've ever met. He's a soul sucker. He's just terrible. He's a piece of shit. He's a loser. I fucking hate this guy. So Whitlock was on Megyn Kelly the other day, and he was asked about it. And he goes, it's funny because I've done this to a lot of people. He goes, Mitch Albom came out with a book years back, and we used to work together, and I just called him out on a lot of shit was fake. He doesn't really like me, but he's a good writer. And then he goes and he names somebody else, and he goes, but then I did this to Stephen A. Franklin. He goes, I'm going to treat him the same way I've treated all these guys.
Stephen A. Smith.
Is it Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith, the guy from ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
they're both black.
Hyper and
And Whitlock's black, and Stephen A. Smith is black. So he said all this shit, and they asked Whitlock, so what do you make of that? And he goes, well, I said exactly to him what I would have said to anybody. I said to these other guys, but normally what he would have done is say, oh, they're just racist. They're being racist. And he goes, but he couldn't do that with me. He couldn't do that. So what did he do? And sure enough, he says it in his podcast. He goes, he is worse than any white supremacist I have ever met. He is worse. He's worse than any Nazi or some shit like that. And he goes, and that's what he does. Like, he had to make me worse than them. Because he couldn't basically call me out for being a racist, but he kind of did. Like, all of a sudden, I'm black racist. I'm worse than a white supremacist. So that's what happens. They got to use it somehow or another.
Yeah, well, just keep overusing it.
Yeah,
it's you're taking you're doing yourselves a disservice. You're taking the effectiveness of the word and the power of the word away.
In a lot of the ways, it was it only can be used so much if we allow it to be used. We just keep allowing it to be used before somebody finally says, okay, no more of that.
Well, I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of pushback on it now. Mm-hmm. Especially when you use the word, it's inappropriate to use it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you could think of a couple other adjectives, but that one's inappropriate. It doesn't fit. It's the square peg in the round hole. Mm-hmm. But whatever, it doesn't bother me. You could call me a racist all day long. It's not going to bother me.
Yeah, I think it would bother you if you felt like you needed to defend that. If you felt like maybe there was a reason, that you felt that you were. But I don't understand why people would even. If you're not, you're not. It's that fucking simple.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's a word.
Yeah, it's not something I worry about. I don't ever think, oh, God, I'm really, really bad. It's. Look, I think assholes run in all colors.
No doubt.
It goes way deeper than fucking color.
Yeah, it's man. I tell you, I know in my heart I'm not, and a lot of people. Well, everyone I know will tell you the same. So it's call me it all you want. It's no impact.
It's just the easy thing to do. That's why we always laugh because when you hear that thrown around and then I see some fucking white guy out or something and I'll look and I'll go, man, they say I hang out with like any fucking guy, black guy, any day before I'd ever hang out with this fucking cocksucker. Like, what, you've done it. I know you have. It's like, it doesn't matter. This guy's an asshole. I don't care what color you are. It doesn't fucking matter. And I think that's the way believe me, when you're around someone that's just fucking stupid hate.
Oh yeah.
You fucking know. And almost everybody, except for people that think like that, and there's very few, want to be around that person. No one wants to be around that fucking guy. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody wants to be around a person that's constantly saying shit and basing everything on color or race or gender or anything. Nobody wants to be around. Only a few people. That's why they're in little gangs tucked away in the fucking mountains of Kentucky.
Party poopers.
Sorry, by labeling Kentucky, I'm sorry. We have a Kentucky fan, right, at one point?
Yes.
Yeah, she called in one time, yeah.
Yep, we sure do. But, racist nowadays, when you call somebody a racist, that's the equivalent back when we were kids in the 80s, and you're basically out of ammunition. You got nothing else to say. So
it's easy.
Yo mama.
Easy. Yeah.
You know, it's the yo mama of the current times.
Yeah, I sometimes wish that a lot of people that said that understand that, like, no, it's not like that at all. I've met some worst fucking people in the world that are our skin color, and fuck them, you know. I wouldn't want to spend more than it really has nothing to do with that. I mean, in most people's eyes, an asshole's a fucking asshole. It has nothing to do with skin color.
I've said it forever. I don't judge anybody by the color of their skin, but I judge them by their character. If you're a piece of shit, it doesn't matter what color you are.
It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. I always looked at, as a football fan, Johnny Manziel. Remember him when he played for A&M? He was a white guy, fucking cocky ass. He was really good, man. Nobody really liked him.
I didn't like him.
Nobody did. He was a fucking asshole. And then he went on. I thought, man, if we were like, if everyone was as racist as they proclaim us to be, well, then we'd stand by that no matter what. But no, he had white skin, and we fucking hated him more than most athletes. And I always look at him and go, man, that's really something, because if it really was that way, that guy would just be, fuck yeah. No, most of us turned our backs on him. He was like always getting drunk and always getting in trouble. I think he abused a few women or some shit. And I'm throwing shit out there, but I think that he was involved in some altercations, and we turned our back. Everybody did. Everybody said, fuck you, dude. And he's gone.
Doesn't matter how much you polish a turd.
Doesn't matter. Still a turd. And again, it's like I said, it really didn't have anything to do with skin color.
I tell you, I agree. I think there is still some racism in the country. I've seen it.
For sure.
I've seen it.
But every side. That you can't just apply that to white people, because traditionally this was them that did the major sin.
So here's the deal. Racism is racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism.
I've had a lot of people I know they don't like me just because I'm white. You know, I've been treated like that. Probably far more than I've seen it the other way. But I don't sit around and dwell on it. I don't give a fuck, you know.
I went to a historically black college university. I went to Hampton University. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what, I experienced some racism there, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were telling me about you and Connie both about Japan. Like it literally says no whites, which that's their prerogative. They can do whatever the fuck they want. You're not hurting my feelings. I think that's the biggest thing is, man, this is your place, and I guess I'm not wanting here.
And that's
I'm not going to go try to change them.
And that's what a lot of service members with the typical American attitude go in there and they screw it up. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, you got to remember, you're visiting there.
Yeah.
You may be stationed there, but you're a visitor. Mm-hmm. You're in another country, and you will abide by their rules, their customs.
Yeah.
And that's why, I remember my first deployment. I was in Okinawa in the early '90s, and man, it was a lot of fun. It was great. It was wild, dude. It was off the chain. And then in '95. A Marine raped a Japanese girl. Oh. 2 Japanese girls. Everything changed from that day on. It was crazy. I mean, like there were curfews, there were places you were not allowed to go, districts, this, that, the other. And then a couple years later, an American service member killed a family of Japanese in a drunk driving accident. Mm. And so everything was locked down. Mm-hmm. In fact, it happened when Connie and I were stationed there. The base commander canceled the 4th of July. I mean, it was that ridiculous, And it's all politics. It's like, come on, we're serving our country in a foreign country. That's one of the comforts of home that we look forward to, and you're taking that shit away. Mm-hmm. You're a pussy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's a confusing world. And that's where I think the biggest shame is that it doesn't seem like it's gotten, a lot of people would say, well, I think a lot of in relations and stuff has gotten better, but we still at the end of the day act like a bunch of fucking dumb kids. Everybody just, that's like I always said, man. I always like, how could there be a God? Now we've discussed religion several times here, but how could there be a God and how could there be a heaven? It's laughable. We still haven't gotten past the stupid things in life, the dumb things that if we're so superior to everything else, if we're so smart, we could have solved this problem a long time ago. We'd all understand it better, which I think most of us do, but we sure as fuck wouldn't still be having this conversation all the time. We wouldn't be overcorrecting the past all the fucking time.
Well, I can tell you what the Christian response would be. And that is because Satan and his demons are influencing us.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's, did you get that Paul Harvey thing I sent?
Yeah, I've heard that a couple times, dude, man.
That is fucking crazy. And I watched that on Rogan. I thought, man, that's really insane. I mean, I guess it's an easy prediction if you think about it. You just hope it never happens. What he's saying is something that probably everybody who's been religious has thought that would be the way. But the problem is, I think the key is when he says, you tell people that God isn't real and that, this is, and that's what you put your faith in. And when you lose that faith, I have to explain to my kids, not that I'm religion, but faith is that. It's not easy to have. If it were easy, everybody would have it. But it's living on something you might not never see. And then, might be like a gun, right? Better to have one and not have one and not need it than need it and not have one. It might be better in the end to believe in God and never see him and finally see him and never believed.
Here's my philosophy on it. What can it hurt? It's the ultimate insurance policy.
Yeah, that's why I kind of ride the fence. I like to ride that fucking fence. Like I step on both sides. I go, there's no God, and I get back on the fence and go, but maybe there is. Right?
I tell you, man, I've told you I struggle with my faith all the time. It's hard, like you said, man. It's something you really got to work at. And I mean, science can prove so much, but some things you just got to push that I believe button on, and I'm not sure I've pushed it on everything.
Yeah, I definitely think people are getting more religious, and I think that this is what we're living with right now is the reason why. I think that only evil can thrive when we've made the conditions. That would mean you'd have to get rid of God. You'd have to get rid of the talk of God. You'd have to, I think we've seen it as kids. It was starting with taking Xmas. I always remember that. Like my parents said,
Happy holidays.
Fucking happy. Yeah, that was a big one. But like Xmas, what's Xmas? It's just a simple way to say Christmas. And then finally started finding out it was like they were just doing it because when they'd label the boxes, they put Xmas boxes on there and they were just fucking lazy. But you'd find out the real reason people were saying Xmas is they were trying to leave the Christ out of muss, right? So I remember going, fuck that, no shit. So we started seeing it then statue or the the national anthem, they'd leave it out.
Pledge of Allegiance out of school.
And then you started seeing, it just trickled on down, and it's to the degree where it literally is a destruction of faith.
Taking prayers out of school.
Yeah, I can't believe they haven't taken the "In God We Trust" off the dollars yet. When's that coming? It's got to be coming.
It's been proposed.
Mm-hmm. It'll happen for sure.
If you are a biblical scholar, or if you are just fascinated by the Bible, I can't help but to think that we're living in the modern Sodom and Gomorrah.
For sure, dude. Do you remember Reagan? Like,
oh yeah,
God came out. That was the basis of not all, but a lot of his speeches. There was God interfused. Bush was like a fucking preacher. I mean, Bush believed so hardly that he just let God lead him. He thought he was doing God's work. And then we got to this, we got to Obama. And
well, let's not forget about Clinton.
Clinton. I don't remember him much. I'm sure he did, because it seems like anti-democratic, or what would be just not the democratic way to talk God. We got the answers. Let's be honest. In order to be an antichrist, you have to be, you got to be the guy. They got all the hope, science. We fix things, not God.
Right.
But
We haven't seen the Antichrist yet.
no, we haven't. Well, buddy, what do you think, man? I gotta
Wrap it up. Well, all right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the participation in the chat room, and we will catch y'all next week.
Next week.
Bye-bye.